The big thing we did together was horse riding, and it was a passion that he got me into from a young age, and so that is the way that we would spend a lot of time together before his accident. You know, I would kind of help him at his shows. I was the person that was there kind of like running behind trying to help him out, and so that was a really special way of bonding and just a deep passion that we shared for a long time.
My earliest memories of my dad are sitting in the co-pilot seat next to him as he's piloting a small plane somewhere over in New England, sitting next to him in what I've learned to be is actually a tiny sports car, a Triumph TR6, driving around the streets of London, which he must have looked giant in, with me and our golden retriever, Bonjour, sort of piled into the passenger seat. Sitting on top of his shoulders, looking at the world from, you know, from a height of 6'8", being on top of his shoulders, you know, sailing with him, being lifted and carried. I mean, those are the earliest memories, and I value them all dearly.
He was startlingly honest about his experiences, and this is captured in the film. Whether he's in his 20s, suddenly on this rocket ship to international fame, and being really upfront about what it is to suddenly be a star, you know, and to go from, you know, off Broadway and hanging in a dressing room to now, you know, being out there in the limelight. And of course, that honesty after his accident really resonated with people too, because they could see him being strong, but he also was pretty upfront that it was hard sometimes, and that actually that made his strength and his perseverance even more meaningful and even more powerful to connect to. And I love that because it also means no element of our life was unexamined. We also knew that he was having hardships and he was having successes, and we were all there to talk about it and be on that journey together. And I truly think that shaped us to navigate the grief of losing them both and made us become the people we are today.
So we were really lucky that we got to watch what was near a final cut. I mean, it was still a little bit rough, but it was basically there. And we got to watch that together, and well, two things. One, which was a giant relief. It was great, and it was an incredible ride to watch it. And two, you know, in those early conversations when we had those first meetings, as Will said, we really didn't want it to be this linear chronological story, and I had no idea how they would kind of weave these two time frames before and after the accident, and they did it so elegantly and gracefully, finding this kind of thematic connective tissue that bridges before and after, and it was just it was far more just richer and deeper than I could have expected and hoped, and it really is, I mean, a work of art. They've done a fantastic job.
And they also really clearly cared to tell my mom's story deeply and accurately and lovingly, which was essential to all of us.
It also mattered a lot to tell the disability story well and thoughtfully and respectfully. And so meeting with them, they'd previously done a film about the Paralympics that was incredibly powerful, and so we knew that they would give that the thoughtful and respectful treatment that it deserved. And that certainly came to light here, you know, to show the vulnerability of life after an accident, but also the strength and the perseverance, and do that recognizing that it's not just our dad's story, but the stories of so many people around the world. That was the other really powerful piece of this. One thing they really instilled in us is just this deep sense of gratitude, so that we don't take tomorrow for granted and you take advantage of every single moment that you have. And then the other piece is that Dana could make magic happen anywhere. And it's captured in the film. You see her, you know, Dad's in the intensive care unit, we're all hanging out in the hallways, and she conjures up a birthday party for Will's 3rd birthday, you know, just a few days after Dad's injury. And what that is as a parent, to think, you know, even in hard times, how do you create those spontaneous moments of magic for your children and create that sense of family and togetherness? And what a gift. I have my own children now, and we try and have that spirit in our household. I know you do as well. And
you guys both crush it, by the way, on the Christmas and the birthdays.
But it's a powerful way to live your life, right? That it's about being together and finding those moments no matter where you are and what you're facing.
But ultimately, I know that my parents set me up for success based on the values that they instilled in me, the standard that they set for themselves, for our family. And I don't, at this stage in my life, I feel grateful that I don't spend much time thinking, oh, what would my parents think about this or that? Or would my mom and dad be proud of me or not proud of me for doing this? Because that's a torturous place to be, because you're never going to get an actual answer, right? Mm-hmm. You can only guess as to whether your parents are going to be proud if they're not around to say it. But I do know that I have their values and their beliefs and their genes, I guess, to help me live my life in a way that, first and foremost, I can make myself proud. And that, I think, is all any parent wants for their child. I feel very fortunate that I do have memories of my dad before the accident. They may be composite memories, I don't know, but I remember vividly our morning routine of him walking around to take me out of my crib or my bedroom, bring me into his and my mom's room, and starting our day. And we would go outside and get the newspaper, and I always loved taking the newspaper's jacket off. That was always my job. And we would go do activities that were very active and fun. And I do remember that happening, and I feel so grateful as well that those scenes were captured on film and put into this documentary for the world to see, because that is our dad and my mom at their core, just grounded, calm, quiet, loving, familial, and I remember it all very well. We wanted it to be cinematic and artistic and holistic and unflinching, and in our conversations with the directors, it just felt exactly right that I mean, speaking at least for myself, like we could tell they were going to get the tone right. And there's also a great, I think of them as sort of Statler and Waldorf, but there's a great duality to them that I think mirrors what there was to our dad, in the sense that Peter is the more analytical, maybe just because he wears glasses, but like he's all intellectual and analytical and British and whatever that means. And then and then Ian is the artist and the creative and the free soul, and like the marriage of those two existed within our father. So I think they had a full understanding of the man. I think when we first met with the directors, Peter and Ian, there was an immediate ease between us and them, a personal rapport, which mattered. And then on a professional and artistic level, it was very clear that they understood the story that we wanted to tell, which was not a chronological listing of life moments and achievements from birth to death. The central driving force in my life is the comfort I take in knowing that my parents instilled me with their values and set me on a path that I believe to be right and true. And sometimes I deviate from it. I'm a human like the rest of us, like our father was, like my mother was.